Morning, everyone. Have a seat, please. So it's Tuesday already, and the weekend seems like a distant memory, but I hope you had a really great weekend. I know it was a busy start to the school year, and those first few days always seem to take a lot of energy to get through, and you're meeting new people and trying to work out where your courses are and who's teaching you and that sort of thing. So yeah, I hope you had a really great weekend, recovered if you needed to, took lots of activity or exercise if that's what sort of fills you up, and that you're enjoying the rhythm and the pace of what we sort of consider a more regular week. Today I'm going to share a few details to start with about my childhood, and what I thought I'd do to start with is to show you a photo. That's the Monroe family photo from quite a long time ago. And I know what you're thinking. He's photoshopped that. And you'd be wrong. That's it in its original state. And my younger brother, he's the littlest in the middle there. Bertie, he came out this summer for a couple of weeks with his family, who were probably just a little bit younger than we are there. But if you zoom in, there, you know, gel wasn't invented in those days. Okay, and what you can probably tell is that my hair rarely sat in that position. It's obviously family photo day. We've all been there. You know, parents are there. Everyone's got to look their best. We'll brush the hair and we'll sort things out. We'll put on special clothes. And yes, I think that was my mother used to love cutting my hair, and so it's a good time. It just used to sort of hang. And I never realised this, but that's quite a large spherical head. And I hadn't really realised that until I looked at it again this morning. But fortunately, the tilt and the angle at least conceals the ears that have a bit of a life of their own. Maybe we could just go back to the family house. That's enough. Yeah, so there I was, middle child. And a lot of people would look at a family like this, or see a mother with her ducklings and three sons, and they'd say, well, there's a special place in heaven for the mother of three sons. And I would agree with them. I think there is a special place in heaven for my mother, but it's not because she had three sons. It's because she had me. I may come across as this sort of friendly, kind person, but when I was that age, and for the subsequent sort of 5 or 6 years, I was poisonous, absolutely poisonous. And there's a few of you in this building right now that I think would have probably wanted to be my friend. I was a classic middle child syndrome. I had my older brother Harry, who was that squeaky clean. Look at the smile on him. As you know, in Britain, teeth are overrated. You just sort of take what you can get, and they kind of fall where they may, as you can see. So yeah, that's Harry, the eldest, and obviously the oldest. He does everything for the first time. He gets all the new shoes. Once they're sort of trashed and your parents can't be bothered buying another set, you get his ones. Oh, there's another year in those. Really? Okay, you can sort of see my toes poking through the end, but you crack on. And then my younger brother, Bertie, who's just cute in a really sort of squidgy kind of way. And he's just the darling. And just really cared for. If he hurts himself, it's let's really look after that. And I mean, obviously it's just purely was my perception, but in that middle, you feel like you get less attention, and you're not getting the new stuff, and you're maybe not getting all the sort of boundaries that the youngest is getting. And so you do things to try and get attention and to try and be noticed. And couple that with a very highly competitive nature, and all my heart was set on was catching my older brother as quickly as I could in development, and mainly outside, mucking around, climbing trees, playing sports, whether it was cricket in the garden or rugby or whatever it was. I had to catch him, and then I had to beat it. And that was essentially my mantra for about 10 years. And my younger brother, he was my younger brother. He was my shorter brother until he was about 12. I think he's taller than me. But he's being kept at an arm's length. There's not a chance he's catching me. So I was in this situation where, yeah, I was kind of pushing both my brothers away. I'd get bored on these long car trips or on a trip in the train. Occasionally we'd take the train, which is actually a really lovely way to travel unless you're at this kind of age and I'm your middle brother. And so I was sort of niggling and needling away at my older brother on one of these trips, and he sort of leant down to stretch his kneecap, and then he came back up and elbowed me at full force in my face. And this is and I'm thinking, we're in a public place here. Like, I'm golden. I'll just keep prodding and nibbling and nothing's going to happen. I mean, you can't do anything, we're in a public place. Anyway, so then my nose is bleeding and I'm in tears and I'm staring through these tears at my mother and I'm just like, what are you going to do? And to her eternal credit, she just looked at me and she said, Amanda, I think you kind of asked for that actually. So here's something to mop yourself up, but that's kind of that's what happens when you communicate with people that way. Oh, whew, okay, so there we go. Quite a good lesson actually, and that definitely diluted some of my behaviour in subsequent years. But what I realised when my younger brother came out this summer, he came out for a couple of weeks, and he was chatting to Hector, my eldest. He's in grade 8. Some of you probably would have seen him around, and he did share. He just sort of slipped it in there. He did share with Hector. He said, your father was really quite annoying when we were kids, and it made me realise how influential I probably was in the family dynamic, and how influential the influence and the impact that I had on both of my brothers and on our childhood. And there are absolutely things that I regret doing and that I regret saying. And I think one of the things I was considering as I was going to talk today to you in grade 9 and 10 is that sometimes, although I wouldn't liken any of you to me, you're all your own people, and I wouldn't try and draw any similarities between you if you have siblings and the way I behaved around mine. But there is a similarity of that feeling of, well, I'm sort of in the middle of something here, and I'm not in grade 8. And the grade 8's come up. When I was in grade 8, it's that transition. Everyone's aware that there's that transition there, and so there's potentially a sort of an extra effort to ensure that they get a bit more leeway, and that we're trying to bring them on board and with just the systems and how we do things in the school. And maybe at the other end, at the grade 11s and 12s, now they potentially your perception might be, well, maybe they're getting a bit more respect because they're a bit older, or they're being referred to as leaders, and that kind of thing. And I think my observations have been that occasionally in grade 9 and 10 can be difficult years to navigate for a variety of reasons. And sometimes we think that you can get into that space of being a little bit of a spectator, looking at the grade 11s and 12s, but also maybe now you're not grade 8s anymore, and there's a higher expectation of you because you've been through that year. So I offer that just as something for you to consider and something for you to think about. And with that similarity to perhaps being a middle sibling, you have a significant influence on the dynamic of this school and how the senior school operates and runs. And you might not realise that, but how you behave, the standards that you set yourself, and the way that you interact with each other, and the responsibility with which you take for your communication, whether it's on social media, whether it's in a group setting and when someone else is not there, don't underestimate the impact that has, not only on your experience as an individual, but on the experience of those around you at this school. And I think that you each want to have a great experience here. You want things to go, your days and your weeks to go as smoothly as possible. You to take every opportunity that you can and make the most of it. And when someone else steps in and deviates that for you or makes it harder, that can be really tricky to manage. And there are enough challenges and enough difficulties that we all face on a daily basis. So as a community, let's be really supportive. You're an incredibly valuable part of the school. Okay, grade 9 and 10 is incredibly valuable years for helping us set the tone as a school and making sure that we get that culture right and those behaviours right, so that we're a strong community, and we're a strong community from our middle, and that sort of emanates out as well to the grades around us. Going to pass over to Mr. Robertson in a moment. Just two things to put on your radar. Tomorrow we've got a Tour de Rock assembly in Founders Hall. You probably saw that on the announcements this morning. Okay, so come to school at the regular time, and you're gonna hear a bit about a personal story from an RCMP officer. What is it?
RCMP.
RCMP. You see, if both my brothers were here, they'd just be getting stuck into me. Got a police officer coming tomorrow, and he's going to tell us his personal story, why he's riding in this Tour de Rock. So listen closely, and afterwards, hopefully that provides us a bit of inspiration to go on some sort of fundraising initiatives, and again, just start working together and building as a community. And Terry Fox is coming up as well too. Okay, so just keep an eye out for some of those pieces. Okay, you're a really valuable part of this community, and I hope everyone has a terrific year. Cool. Thanks.
Okay, yeah. Good. Well done, Mr. Monroe. That was an excellent message and presentation. Just out of interest, as I was listening to that, how many middle children do we have in this gathering? How many? Yeah, there's a few that can identify with this, and you know, as I was listening there, I was thinking of, you know, as a parent, I made some just awful decisions, really, as a parent, and so with your parents, can you just give them a little bit of leeway, make allowances for your parents? Because they're just really trying their best, right? So when you're getting upset with your parents, console yourself and say, they're actually just trying their best. And the absolute worst, and I'm going to share this with you in the spirit of honesty and disclosure, the absolute worst was when we're driving back from the camping trip, and we're coming out of Kelowna, West Bank there, some of you may know, on the highway, and the middle child, Russell, is just niggling his siblings all the time, just all sorts of the stuff that Mr. Monroe was talking about. I'm driving, and I've been driving for a while, and I've come from Alberta, and I'm saying, stop it, just stop it, blah, blah, blah. I'm getting more and more and more upset. And then I made the fatal error that parents make. I issued an ultimatum, because if you issue an ultimatum, then you have to follow through with it. So I said, okay, the next one that makes a noise is getting chucked out of the car. Sure enough, this was meat and drink to my middle child. So to his sister, and she said, stop it. Right, shh, out. So I left my daughter on the side of the road and drove away. Can you believe that? She's actually forgiven me. She's my favourite human being in the whole world. I honestly, but yeah, about 100 yards up the road, I realised the folly of my error. But that was the middle child in operation right there. Anyway, I'm going to talk very briefly about something else. We like to connect you with the big world outside, as well as creating the right world in here. How many people were aware of 9/11? And what happened? Keep your hands up if you know what happened in 9/11. Cool, okay, quite a few of you, right? So yesterday was 9/11, 22nd anniversary, 22 years since that awful, awful day. I want to draw a little message from that for us as a community. But I want to go back to that morning. It was Tuesday, Tuesday the 11th September. I was running a boarding school, and I was in the office, as you know, I get in the office pretty early. I was in the office about 10 to 6, and about 5 to 6, my EA came in with a radio blaring, which I thought was strange, and she said to me, have you heard what's happened? Have you heard what's happened? And I I said, no, I haven't. And so she told me, then we found a TV, and sadly we found a TV just in time to see the second plane going into the South Tower. The first plane had gone into the North Tower. So Al-Qaeda, Islamic terrorist group, had planned these 4 planes to be hijacked and driven into key American targets as such, right? As a sort of strike back against what they perceived as the injustices that the US had inflicted, and so on and so on. It was just an awful thing. So 19 hijackers, 3,000 people lost their lives that day, and if you haven't read anything about this, it is one of those events in history that you should probably be aware of. But there I was, right? And I had to think very quickly. I thought, okay, well, I've got a school here, and I've got all sorts of nationalities and ethnicities and religions. So we have Muslim students, we have students with Arabic ethnicity. We have students from New York whose parents live and work in New York. So what's the most urgent thing for me? The most urgent thing for me was to get the community together. So we got the school together. Then the next most urgent thing was to make sure that people didn't stigmatize, that we didn't stigmatize other people. Just making a judgment just based on their facial appearance or what you know where they're from. And that was, we just hammered that message. It's all about inclusion. That's what it's all about, inclusion. We cannot make these judgments that all X are bad, or all Y are bad, that type of thing. You just can't, right? Then why am I saying that today? Because I think that's even more important now than it's ever been, right? And we as a community, we just are so committed to that inclusion and to that avoidance of stigmatizing. So please don't do that. We're proud of the fact that we're the only school in BC that has a stigma-free club. And I don't say that in a boastful way, I say that because I personally, and we are all proud of that, the commitment that you and our student body has made to that stigma-free club, the work that the stigma-free club does, and the energy they put into it is just absolutely exemplary. And in fact, there are various schools around the province that want to sort of find out how we got that going and how why it's working so well. But I tell you that to heighten the awareness of the Stigma-Free Club and to obviously to get your support behind it. But more than that, to start the year as we mean to go on by emphasizing inclusion, not judging people too quickly. That's the right way to build a community that respects each other and works together. I'd love to see that happening more out in the world. But if we start here, then we can perhaps take it out into the world later on. So that was the reason for mentioning yesterday. And then I'm going to switch to something heroic, and Mr. Monroe touched on it. Terry Fox is a Canadian hero. How many people know the Terry Fox story? Okay, if you don't know the Terry Fox, do me a favor, find some time and Google it. It is absolutely inspiring. If we ever want something inspiring, think about Terry Fox. And if you agree with me, let's translate that into action in terms of getting behind what we're going to do for the Terry Fox. I came to Canada in 1986. I'd never heard of Terry Fox. That first year, I watched the documentary and I was blown away. I really was. And every year, wherever I've been, I've made an effort to run the Terry Fox. I still do, right? I mean, look at me, I'm decrepit. but I'll still run it because I believe in it. A marathon a day for 144 days on one leg. Think of that. A marathon is 26 miles, 375 yards. That's English stuff. It's 42 kilometers. 42 kilometers a day on one leg for 144 days. Wow. That's commitment. That's courage. So, and it's all in the best possible cause. So get behind that. Thank you.
So one thing that we can do that will bring us all together is sing together. And I can sense the excitement and see it written on the faces because we're up for this. So we're going to sing the school song, or we're going to sing one verse of the school song. If you could just, in silence, please turn to number 2. And we'll sing verse 3. And when we sing verse 3, those of you who are in Hughes, when it says green for service, well, actually, let's sing it through once first, and then we'll do the house thing afterwards. Okay, so we'll do verse 3. Those of you who know the tune, so returning students, we're relying on your lungs. Okay, so let's get it out there. And new students who sing this for the first time, listen in, you'll catch on, and we'll get round 2 as well, so you can get a bit more involved. Verse 3, the school song, please stand. Great response, everyone. Thanks so much. Well done there. Miss Hanson will play the head of school out and will play us out. She's playing a piece by Hans Zimmer. Okay, that's off the movie Pearl Harbor. If any of you have seen that, so she tried to select a piece that might be fitting for that 9/11 theme that Mr. Robertson spoke about. Okay, so let's respect Miss Hanson's playing and let's listen to it and enjoy it. Okay, it's a lovely way to start the day. Thanks everyone for listening.